I had my 4-year-old daughter with me. I introduced her to Ken. I said, this is my friend Ken Krayeske. He's a politician. And Ken winced. And he said, no. Clearly, this was the wrong idea. And I realized it was a little bit of a faux pas on my part. Politicians have, really since antiquity, the word politician has been a word of derision, really, for most people. And there are lots of good reasons for that. We live in a time right now, in a moment right now, when there are plenty of good reasons to look askance at most politicians. The very idea of public service is something that we tend to regard in a pretty jaded light. And certainly in terms of our politicians' abilities to solve not only to solve our problems, but even to see and describe things the way they really are. A lot of times I think those of us out here, we see things, look, this thing is wrong. This thing needs to be done differently. We see things straightforwardly. At one of our meetings at Weekend in the West End, we asked the Republican candidate, one of Ken's opponents, whether she thought that the massive concentration of wealth in the top 10% of this country in the past 30 years was a problem. And she said, she talked her way around it, and she said, well, you know, in effect, not really. That's the way our system works. Talent rises to the top. It's creative entrepreneurial capitalism. It's the way it works. And then she said to the audience, why, do you all think it's a problem? The audience shouted, yes! I've been really glad, and many of my friends have been glad to see Ken in this race, because Ken is someone who shows up in places and just says things the way they are. You wouldn't think that would be so hard. Even have to do it with a lot of attitude. I mean, you go to a basketball coach who's making $bazillion a year, you say you're the highest paid state employee, the governor's putting people on furlough and having them give backs. Do you think maybe you might? Not one dime! The man was enraged. Ken just shows up. He shows up at parade for the governor. Doesn't really do anything. Next thing you know, they haul him away. So Ken's dogged willingness to go to the right place and simply bear witness, not doing anything obnoxious, just saying, hey, do you see what I see? Is the general response. When telling the truth about simple, straightforward things causes rage as a response, you know the problem is not in the person who points the thing out, it's in the people who are being pointed out. And I admire very much Ken's tenacity in taking a lot of time, his own energy, his own cost, and persevering through this campaign to the very end. And so I'm very proud to introduce my favorite congressional candidate, Ken Krayeske.
I want to thank you all so much, and I don't want to draw out the thank yous too much, but I first have to thank my wonderful girlfriend, Wildelise, for putting up with me. And then I want to thank my mom and dad for giving me an education. And I also want to thank my aunt and uncle for coming up here from Brantford tonight. And more importantly, I want to thank everybody at Holly. Holly made some cupcakes. All right, so we all got to get cupcakes tonight because Holly is the best dessert chef around. And so we got to get some of her cupcakes, and we'll hand them out afterwards. They have green frosting. But I want to thank all of you. I couldn't have done this without all of your help. Hank Taylor, our treasurer, Dave Bonin, my campaign manager. Andy Tebow, our incognito press master. Andy managed to get us some really amazing coverage. Up until the last day, I think that's me.
That's a concession speech.
Yeah, up until the last day,
It's Larson.
Andy was putting us on John Rowland's radio show. You know, Rowland had me on Friday afternoon. He hung up on me after about 2.5 minutes. And Andy called him up and said, "It doesn't pass the smelly skunk test. I'm puking blood. Help me out here." And so Rowland gave us another 8 minutes yesterday. And this is the behind-the-scenes stuff that helped us put on. A friend of mine from Ireland emailed me this morning, and he said, "Whatever the results, you should be proud that you made a principled stand for human rights today." And I am. We made it a point in front of the fourth most powerful congressman in the House of Representatives in the United States of America that education is a fundamental human right, that college tuition should be free, that health care is a universal human right, that we should reduce the Medicare age of eligibility from 65 to 0. Everybody in, nobody out. For those who went to the debates and heard John Larson talk proudly about, well, we've got Obamacare coverage of children who have pre-existing conditions can't be turned down for health insurance, I say all children should have health insurance. And to be able to sit next to a congressman in a debate like that and turn and look at him and say, "Congressman Larson, Obama promised to raise the minimum wage in 2008 to $9.50 an hour. Why haven't you held his feet to the fire?" To be able to say that, to me, is an honor. And I hope that in 2006, when Cliff Thornton ran for governor, he knew he was going to lose, and it was very frustrating some days on the campaign trail. And he used to say the true test of this campaign is how many leaders we build. And because I know that I'm going to lose, and it's been kind of frustrating sometimes, I sit here and say to myself tonight, the true test of this campaign is how many leaders we're going to build. How many of you who are looking at me tonight are going to be here in 5 years, in 2 years, in 4 years? And to me, that's the question that we have to ask ourselves. If not me, then who? If not us, and if not now, when? And to me, I feel like I'm not quite ready to do this again yet. This was hard, but we should be proud. We raised $10,000 in under 2 months.
Wow.
We rented an office on Park Street, and we established a presence in the community on Park Street, which I'm thrilled with. We handed out more than 5,000 pieces of literature. We made thousands of phone calls. We really, and I really think that we scared a congressman. And to me, that's it. That's what it's important about. We did great debate prep thanks to Chris Thomas. Where's Chris? Right there. Chris had the line of the campaign. Our Republican opponent, Ann Brickley, doesn't believe in global warming, but she considers herself an environmentalist because she's a master organic certified gardener. I don't know, maybe she grows award-winning basil? But Chris had the best line when he said she's got her fingers in the dirt and her head in the sand. And that was debate prep, and it makes me look smart. But it's all about preparation and coming out here and saying, we're going to work as a team, and we're going to come together, and we're going to speak truth to power. So, I really want to thank everybody for coming out and for supporting us during this time. It's fantastic. We've made a lot of new friends. Some old friends have stepped up to the plate once again, and we're still not done with this. I can guarantee you, I got 2 more things to say, and then I want to give Mike DeRosa a quick chance to speak because he just finished running for Secretary of State. Number one, this campaign isn't over, and I guarantee you're going to hear about it again because everybody saw that Calhoun campaign ad that we did. Well, they didn't like it very much, and they sent us a letter that said, "Be quiet," and I said, "No! As if there's another option." And I think that might come out in the press. We didn't bring it out during the campaign that they told us to be quiet because I didn't want to. I didn't think it was fair to score political points on something like that. We had made the point. If they want to use state dollars, I didn't want to escalate the conflict. because I didn't think it was a wise use of tax dollars. Because if we escalated the conflict during a campaign, then they would have lost face, and you can't imagine a billionaire basketball coach wants to lose face to a punk like me. So, but that may be coming out. And secondly, today we had a discovery conference with a federal judge, a guy named Stefan R. Underhill, who's not necessarily my favorite judge in the judiciary. But my lawsuit about my false arrest continues on. We haven't gone to trial yet, but thankfully, my main defendant, Detective Jeff Antuna, made it back from Afghanistan okay. So as much as I don't like him, I feel like I'm glad that he's back here from Afghanistan okay. He was in the Air Force Reserves and he made it back safely, and he's going from the frying pan into my fire. So we're going to depose him, which is a victory for us, and then we're also going to depose a state cop. But the big fun here is that we subpoenaed Governor Rell a couple of months ago. Nobody's heard about that either, because you got to sit on it. But on November 12th, the judge asked us to argue in front of him why Governor Rell should be a witness in my lawsuit. And as far as I'm concerned, she saw what happened, and Mike, go ahead.